Buen dia, buenos, buenos dias. I am learning slowly. Cafe. Um, Good morning. It has been a busy week. I still have not fixed my vMix live streaming issue with audio, so let's see if this even works. Okay, I think I know what the kind of Buenos tardes, Mo. I chatted with you my last night, your morning, um, on Stefan Marone's live stream last night, US time. Anyway, um, good morning to those of you in the United States. I am accidentally semi on time despite some delay. So, if you have any questions, uh, head over to, well, you're watching, you don't have to head over anywhere. Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. And let's see if the comments work. I've gotten a few comments. Obviously, YouTube is working with Mo and Stefan. Welcome and good morning. And submit a question. Make it easy for my sake. Questions in the realm of Business Central are preferred. Trivia questions or math questions, I will probably not do too well. And so throw some questions in there. This week's project, one of them, is extension organization. And this is a question to all of you, all 12 of you watching, or three, eight, I can't quite tell. How do you, in your organization, manage all of the documents for deliverables related to a Business Central customer PTE? Right? So you had some conversations with the customer that resulted in requirements. You had a draft design or some discussions about how you would accomplish the PTE or how you would design the PTE in order to meet those requirements. And then you had some type of statement of work or document or proposal that the customer reviewed and approved, hopefully. And so you have some documents, but then you've got your code. Hopefully, that code is in an SCM, source code management, Git, DevOps, Visual SVN, whatever you use. Something is better than nothing. And then you have your extension artifacts. So hopefully you have build pipelines that when you commit changes, you're doing a build and you have artifacts, get created for version 1.01, 1.05, 24.0.168.1, whatever your version numbering is. You've got those extensions. Well, then we internally like to have a deployment guide. So we can hand this off to a consultant, functional consultant, who doesn't need to know everything about everything, and they can follow these instructions to deploy this, configure it, and test it. And then we have a user guide to walk through scenarios about how this is used, what the features are, configuration prerequisites. Like, you're starting to see this stuff pile up. Well, I will be the first to admit we do not have a primo system for managing all of this stuff. There's Tanya who has a document, or Alyssa who has a document. Then there's Steve who's got a document. And then we know our code is in DevOps. So we got that handled, but that's kind of on the dev side. Then we have artifacts. Those are in DevOps, but we don't want to have our functional consultants digging through DevOps to go find artifacts. That's just doesn't make sense to me. So I want to push those artifacts to a repository, a location, resource, whatever, where they're just lined up for that customer, for that extension, so they don't have to go looking. And then same with all the deployment testing and user guides. I want it all in one place. What is that place? That's what we're trying to figure out. Is it the software formerly known as CRM slash CE slash, I literally don't know what the current name of it is. We call it CRM. Is it Teams? I hope not. Is it SharePoint? Maybe. But then we've got CRM and SharePoint. If we get a ticket, they got to go over to SharePoint to check something out. So I'm kind of leaning towards CRM if that is our way of communicating with customers and handling support tickets. So how do we get all this stuff in CRM We have two different legal organizations. We have people all over the world. It's an interesting challenge. So you let me know how you are managing this among all of these documents, which spans multiple roles in an organization. I'd like to remove the human element out of this so that I don't have to remember to drop stuff in some folder somewhere. Sure, I could do it. It's not on my top 10 list of things I'd like to remember to do. And I think that one thing we can possibly do is in our build pipelines, push artifacts to some type of storage repository. OneDrive, SharePoint, CRM, don't know. I think we can automate at least that step. The documents, not so sure. Anyway, that is the weekly project. And Monday, lunes, had a call with Brad Prendergast. And as I mentioned, I believe on a prior live stream, he and I are working on a Business Central developer training journey, in that it is a training program that someone can follow and go through in kind of a linear progressive fashion to learn Business Central development. And this won't necessarily cover everything, but there's training for this, there's training for that, there's documentation on that. There are a lot of pieces, but one of the challenges partners and customers have is how do they go through the process? There's so many things to learn. And it is quite an undertaking for us, but we're going to try to attempt to have a path, a journey that someone can take in order to learn Business Central development. Ambitious? Yes. Impossible? No. A lot of work? Absolutely. So VS Code, automated testing, source code management, pipelines. There's a lot there. So we're trying to figure out what we work on first. On Monday, I looked at flights and the logistics for Summit North America. It is October 13th through 17th in San Antonio, Texas. And one of the things that just struck me, it's not about this conference in particular, but when you tally up the price tag for attending a conference, at least in the United States, it is not trivial. In this case, just for me, registration, if, average attendee, registration plus flight plus hotel, approximately $3,100. That's a fair amount of money. And I think I used to just say, well, that's just the cost of doing things. But now that I'm doing live streams and my cost of kind of presenting to the world is dropped dramatically. The marginal cost of me doing a live stream is very small. And the potential audience I can get, say, as a presenter is much greater here than at a conference where I might get 20, 40. I mean, on the best day I've ever had, 60 plus. So that's the trade-off. That there are other caveats, right? So is a US conference worth $3,100? I am asking myself. To put that in context, that amount of money can pay for 6 years, literally 6 years of daily English Academy lessons for one of the candidates in El Salvador that we're working with for ERP Center of Excellence. Think about that. It's not 6 years for one person. It would literally be 6 people for an entire year for $3,000. Yes. And this amount of money, $3,000, is also equivalent to me, which I'm about to do, going to El Salvador for an entire month. That's flight, that's a month of car rental, a month of Airbnb. $3,000 for a month for me to do full-time live training in El Salvador for a month. So it's a lot of money. Now on the flip side, attending DynamicsCon Live last week, week before, can't even remember. Hard to quantify all the conversations and meeting people in person. and significant value there. It's not monetary value in my case, but the conversations are, yeah, hard to put a price tag on those. So something to think about. Okay, Tuesday, I had a call with a TechFluent graduate, and more on TechFluent later. And we discussed her interest in Dynamics, CRM, CE. Literally, what is it called now? I have no idea. I call it CRM. So she is interested in Dynamics CRM, and seems pretty knowledgeable, good candidate. If anyone you know, partner, customer, is interested in a junior Dynamics CE CRM consultant, administrator, developer, let me know, let TechFluent know, and we can connect you with her. I've had a call with her. I'm planning on working with her on a few small projects, perhaps do some training, some kind of internal project so she gets that project experience, but some good candidates. If you're passing up on the TechFluent candidates, I think you're really missing out. If you're paying a lot of money for recruiting alternatives, I have a feeling TechFluent is a better deal personally, based on my first impression here. And on Tuesday, I worked on American English accent lesson videos, which is kind of funny, but I believe, I speculate, based on my experience, that people who are working with American companies, but English is not their first language, I believe they are at a disadvantage in communication because they don't have an American accent. And I've been on calls where they probably may not acknowledge it, but they were not very patient, shall we say, with a person who had a strong non-American accent, as we might say. So I am working with the candidates in El Salvador to try and practice American accent. Some call it accent reduction, but I think that's a misnomer. It's adopting an American accent. It's not reducing their Spanish accent. They have to do completely new things in order to adopt an American accent. So this is a teacher on YouTube who has a very interesting program on adopting certain sounds that are, as far as what he says, are only spoken in by the American accent. And we say things a certain way that someone, say, in the UK wouldn't say, or someone in another country who speaks English, they make different sounds. So American accent is very interesting. So I'm creating a series of videos to practice the lessons from that Udemy course. And I'm just speaking the words and sounds in my West Coast American accent, which I obviously cannot hear, but it's going to be an interesting process. And already I've got some feedback that, oh, I didn't know I was speaking it that way. So it appears to be helping with the recognition of the accent. And on Wednesday, miércoles, have a customer with a request for a certain pricing configuration. And Eric Hogard caught the typo in my math here. They want a fixed price dollar amount discount. They do not want a percentage discount. So if they sell something for $25 and they have a $3.50 discount, they want that as a fixed dollar amount discount. So the net price would be $21.50. And the reason for this, the reason that you cannot use a percentage discount is because these are low margin commodity items. And the real price, I believe in this customer's case, is say $3.50. And they will give a 37.5-cent discount. Now, if the price of that $3.50 item goes to $4.50, they cannot afford to increase the discount by the same percentage because it's a commodity item. They're not controlling the purchase price. Purchase price fluctuates their margin effectively remains the same. So they cannot afford to increase that discount from 37.5 cents to even 40 cents. That affects their margin. And common examples are food products, eggs, dairy, meat, things like that, where it's high volume, low margin. Another example is gasoline. So in the US, if you go to a gas station and you pay $4 a gallon, that gas station is only making a certain margin. Let's just say 25 cents a gallon. If the gas goes to $5 a gallon, they're still making roughly 25 cents a gallon, is my understanding. So they cannot change, these resellers cannot change their discount based on the price of the underlying commodity. So that's why we need a fixed price discount in terms of dollars. And the feedback I got is that Business Central new sales pricing experience cannot do that. One person said it's possible. We've looked at it. I disagree. And other people agree that it is percent based only. And so this person has the exact same scenario that we have. We have this exact issue in the context of campaign discounts, low margin food commodities with freight inclusive price lists. Exactly. In the food industry, it is low margin and you cannot discount on a percentage basis. We need a fixed amount discount. So regardless of price list, the same discount gets applied and we can't do it. Yep. I was hoping an extension was available, and it appears there are apps in AppSource. I believe there are two. One we're not sure about, no reviews, not sure the status. Another has roughly 10 reviews. And then there's another one I didn't see in the AppSource, but I've been told that they have a pricing add-on. The challenge we're having is these pricing add-ons or AppSource apps have 10 different pricing scenarios and really complex scenarios. Our customer only needs one. We do not want any of this other complexity that requires more setup, more updating, things like that potentially overrides or intervenes in Business Central pricing logic throughout the application. So, very interesting suggestion from Ted that you could build a copy price list function and deduct the discount and create a new list. And at first I thought, interesting, but how do we store the discounts and how do we manage that? And after thinking about it, I am thinking we could maintain the base price list, and that would be the commodity prices that the customer maintains. So if eggs go from $3 to $4, they update the base price list. Discount one there is a price list. It's like a fake price list. Instead of having prices, it tracks the discount, the fixed price discount per item. And by doing that and assigning it to, some mythical customer price group or a mythical customer, so it doesn't interfere with anything, we could store those discounts, and a PTE could do the math and say, okay, base list price $3, discount 15 cents, net price one, $2.85. So we could run through the discount list, do the math, and create and maintain a net price one list. That's our thought now. It does create a PTE instead of using an AppSource app, but it feels extremely simple, clean. We're not interfering with anything. We're not intervening in any Business Central events. We're not messing with the pricing logic of the new sales price experience. We are simply automating the creation and update of price lists, in this case, what we would call net price lists. So that's kind of the direction we're going, to reduce complexity, ironically, with a customization rather than an AppSource app. So let me know what you think. In a prior live stream at following DynamicsCon, the conference recap, I talked about how many customers and partners, just the consistent feedback I saw and we got in the room with the attendees was, whoa, where did this information come from? How am I supposed to know about this? How do I learn this stuff? How do I keep up? Brad and I are obviously working on the dev side of things, but all in terms of educational opportunities, here is one. It is a simple opportunity. It is convenient. It is inexpensive. Jeremy is hosting educational classes. I think these are workshops. And so head over to sparebrain.com/education. And these are roughly 1 to 2 hour workshops that are scheduled both European time and US time. And you can sign up for Docker Basics for Business Central on the dev side, Introduction to BC Inventory Modes on the application side, and then back on the dev side, setting up VS Code for efficient AL development. So he has got times at 3 p.m. Eastern US, 9 a.m. Eastern US, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 9 a.m. So convenient 2 times for Eastern time zone, and that should cover West Coast time in the US as well. It's 100 pounds, 100 euros, sorry, American brain there, 100 euros. And it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you get a workshop on that topic. So, hey, just jump into that, learn something. You're guaranteed to learn something. I'm sure I've got my Docker routine. I'm sure I'd learn something about Docker. I definitely learned something about inventory because I haven't really studied that in BC. And then VS Code for efficient development. There's always something you're going to learn in a class like that. Just like Tanya Bricko-Meski's, I hope I said that right, her session at DynamicsCon Live about VS Code extensions and kind of tips and tricks. So head on over to Spare Brain. There's the URL. There's a QR code. Educate yourself. It's not hard. It's not expensive. Not a lot of commitment. You will learn something. Upcoming event, a long string of upcoming events this week. And send them over if you know of more. Dynamics Minds is, gosh, that is next week. Yes. Wow, Monday, Tuesday. So hop on a plane, get over to Slovenia, find a hotel room, hopefully, register, go to Dynamics Minds. I did a recap with Jeremy, with Tanya. It's beautiful there and brilliant people. And yeah, what can I say? Very clever theme at that conference. Go check it out. Lots of brilliant, shiny people. Another upcoming event is June 13 and 14 in Antwerp, Belgium, the famous BC Nav Tech Days 2024 by Mibusu.com. Head on over there, register, hop on a plane, enjoy Antwerp, Belgium. It's on the technical side, so this is a dev-focused, hardcore technical conference. Yeah, kind of hard for us from the United States to get to. I am not going to fly for 13 hours in economy, so minimum economy plus premium economy or business class, which starts to get expensive. But if you're in the neighborhood, check it out. A brand new event, first time, is being organized in Philippines. So I am told this is a Philippine-oriented conference. Excuse me, we are live. And Tech Bayanihan. Hope I said that right. Tech Bayanihan, Manila, Philippines, August 2nd and 3rd. Head on over to that website.org and check it out. If you want to go to the Philippines, if you're in the neighborhood, head on over there. And there are some really smart people there. I recognize Cecile and Christopher, both. Yes, they're both. Sorry, I can't keep track of all the Business Central MVPs. I apologize. There are so many now. Both Business Central MVPs for business applications. So you know it's going to have some awesome Business Central content. And Doer Drizzle Pablo, I have heard that name from Cecile, have not met her, but head on over there, support the first conference 365 in the Philippines, I think. But yes, I apologize. I don't know everything about it, but very cool to see new conferences popping up. And we have a call for speakers for Directions EMEA 2024 in Vienna, Austria. And it just opened up a couple weeks ago, May 8th, and that's over on Sessionize. So head on over to sessionize.com, Directions EMEA 2024. There's a QR code for that for your clicking convenience. And submit a session. Submit a session for an awesome topic. Be a speaker at a conference. Enjoy Austria. So that sounds great. Okay. Take a breath. Tool of the week is the venerable Plantronics Voyager headset. And I mention this because this is a critical item in El Salvador. It is noisy there. Concrete walls, you have dogs barking, you have roosters crowing, you have cats on the tin roof, you have tropical fruit dropping on the roof of the building, banging noises. It's a wild time. And in Berlin, El Salvador, where our office is, they have the wildest parties and concerts, and I have never seen concert speakers stacked over 20 feet tall in the middle of the street. They just unload a truck and you were staring at a massive tower of speakers, and they blast that at just inhuman levels. And I'm trying to understand what the cultural thing is with parties in El Salvador, but you need a noise canceling headset. And this headset is this is just a de facto headset for people who want noise canceling microphones. There are many cheaper headsets that claim to be noise canceling. Do not believe them. I will have an anecdote about that shortly. So the older one here is the Plantronics Voyager UC, and it's this lighter weight one, very portable. It's surprisingly durable. I haven't broken one yet. This one is probably well over 10 years old. Got my daughter one. I take them to El Salvador, you name it. Great. But these these are getting old and they're no longer manufactured. You can try to buy them used, or they're not refurbished. They are used from foreign call centers. They get shipped back to the US to be resold as used. But my success rate, I'm showing a 50% failure rate, return rate on them from eBay now. So I've been looking for a better alternative because of the returns I've had to do. And I discovered the newer version of this is the Poly. So Plantronics renamed Poly and was then acquired by HP. A little bit of a merger circus going on there, but they are now branded as Poly, and it is called the Poly Voyager. I think it's still the Voyager UC2 DOS headset. So this is the newer version, very similar in design, just kind of refreshed, more modern build. Unfortunately, it's slightly bigger. So the earpieces are slightly bigger on the outside. So it's a little bit bulkier, doesn't quite fit in the same case as well, but they have a slightly larger new case. Effectively the same USB dongles that you'll plug in to get the better sound quality, vastly superior to standard Bluetooth. And the noise cancellation is just as good. So I can put my cell phone on my desk, blast music from my cell phone speaker. You can't hear anything. It is remarkable how good it is. Honorable mention, I know there are many brands. Honorable mention is the Jabra. I think this is called the Jabra Evolve 40. And my developer has this one. It is a wired headset. It's only a little bit less expensive. I've only seen the price new. It's not cheap. It has a phenomenal microphone in terms of noise canceling. Where he lives, the vendors come by and it's very noisy. They're like yelling, selling stuff in the street outside the window. And I cannot hear a thing. And he is shocked. He's like, I'm sorry, it's so noisy here. I'm like, I don't know. I don't hear a thing. So I can absolutely attest to the quality of the noise canceling of the Jabra Evolve 40. I'm assuming their higher end models are just as good, but they do get very expensive very fast, as do the brand new Polys. You can buy the Poly UC2. I just bought three of them. They're roughly $180 used. If anyone says they're refurbished, I'm sorry. They clearly come from a well-worn call center environment in a beat-up box in a plastic bag. But I've had good luck with them. Just bought three. They all tested out good. Now, ones I would recommend avoiding. I would recommend avoiding this Plantronics headset. I bought it years ago. And one moment. Got some spam here. You know you're famous when you get live stream spam. And I think that was spam. Apologize if it wasn't. And this is the Plantronics 8800, I think. And I bought it because it looks super heavy duty and durable, which it is. It is built like a tank. The speaker sound quality, the headset sound quality is okay, but the microphone sound quality is abysmal. It claims to be noise canceling, and it kind of is, but the microphone sound quality is so highly processed through the DSP. It sounds garbled and distorted, and it's just not great. So I have it. I'm going to be taking it to El Salvador and giving it to them as a backup in case, they're desperate and don't have anything else. In a quiet environment, it might be okay, but in a noisy environment, you can tell it's just struggling to do the noise cancellation, and your voice sounds like a robot, very highly processed. So not my favorite. And this is why you just can't buy cheap noise canceling headphones. This is a Poly. It's on Amazon called the Poly Blackwire 5220. I bought three of them because they're only $80. I was like, wow, it's Poly, it's noise canceling. This is awesome. It is wired. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But I tried it, same test, cell phone on my desk playing music. It was like the music was in the room with me. It came straight through the microphone. It didn't cancel in the least. So it did not pass my test for noise cancellation in the least. And so, yeah, do not fall for the $80 noise canceling microphone. Just doesn't cut it. Eric mentions Bose headphones. So I do have two pair of the latest Bose QC Ultra headphones. The noise cancellation for you as the wearer is great on an airplane, but I've done several tests. I've had calls with my kids. I can't attest for a Teams call, but on a telephone call or a FaceTime call, the microphone struggles with the noise canceling. It does not meet my standards compared to the Plantronics Poly Voyager UC-UC2. There's just no contest. I think the boom mic makes a big difference. So I choose not to use the Bose QC Ultras. I don't think they can compete on the microphone side of things. Noise canceling for the wearer is great. So Christian Len says Bang & Olufsen makes good noise canceling, and I know KB is a huge fan of B&O. They are expensive, obviously, right up there with the Bose QC Ultra, and they're more of kind of the audiophile listening and noise cancellation. But this is more for getting work done headset, right? This is not for listening to music. So that's why I go with these. So yes, and Testament, thank you, Tanya, for taking this photo without letting me know. This is me in a swimming pool in El Salvador on a call with Australia doing work. And it was like 90 plus degrees there at the beach, and you will literally just melt if you're not in the pool or in air conditioning. So we both had work to do. We went outside. I got in the pool. I had calls with my laptop from the shallow pool. So I can attest to the Plantronics headset. Moving on. Thursday, Jueves. I had another call with Brad to work on planning for our BC Developer Training Journey program. Still in its infancy. We're trying to figure out how to do that. And then I had another Tech Fluent graduate call with an awesome graduate. Like, folks, if you need to hire someone in Power Platform, CRM, Business Central, like call or contact Liz at techfluentacademy.org or call me. I'll put you in touch with these candidates. And I spoke with a candidate who was interested in Power Platform, but was also interested in learning Business Central. They are open to learning anything. They're open to working for it. Like so far, incredible candidates. Don't pass it up. So I am working with, looks like 2 people on Business Central training. I gave them login to demo tenants, gave them the login instructions. We're going to start on Business Central navigation, and moving on, they're going to learn something. They're going to create a presentation. Then they're going to give a training. That's going to be my program. They'll learn, prepare the presentation, and then teach over and over and over. Once they do that with 50 Business Central features, they're gonna be a pretty strong candidate. And so yes, if you need a Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, Dynamic CE, or Business Central junior consultant, admin, user, whatever you need, hit me up. Okay. Friday, Viernes. We're going to have a call later this morning on our BC PTE organization project. We're going to discuss where we want the stuff to reside. If it involves CE, I am actually going to call the Tech Fluent candidate who knows CE and say, hey, here's a real world project. How do we organize this stuff in CE, CRM? How do we get it in there? Go design it, help us build it, and that'll be an internship project or however we can structure it. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. We are going to have some internal Business Central training. We have a new consultant / project manager in Argentina. Welcome, Vanya. She is awesome. So she is going to be joining us from Mendoza, Argentina. And we're going to do some internal Business Central training, work on this PTE organization project. I will then, I'll get to that. I'll then be working more on the ERP Center of Excellence curriculum because I need to catch up, build the training for my month in El Salvador. And I realized that I have Jeremy Visca's book. And simultaneously, I'm going to use his book to try and figure out what curriculum I should be teaching in El Salvador. There's MS Learn, there's all sorts of resources, and what do you choose? What's a good path for learning? And I realized, Jeremy's book, Your First 20 Hours. That makes sense. Now, I think his book is even intermediate, perhaps, or even advanced for my candidates, but I'll cherry pick the introductory topics, UI, navigation, certain concepts, and also get them a copy of the book for my candidates in El Salvador. Simultaneously, we didn't coordinate. Coincidentally, Tanya says to me, Vanya is going to start training. I'm just going to get her a copy of Jeremy's book. I have it, so why don't we use that as a starting place? So we both this week simultaneously realized we have Jeremy's book, Your First 20 Hours. So head on over to sparebrain.com/books. If you have someone who's new, who is learning Business Central, great resource. I think it's 30 euros for a copy. And I think he said he's working on a V2 with just some editorial updates, and there's menu changes in BC, but the core content is the same. So that's another learning opportunity. And the excellence update. In addition to the American accent lessons I am doing and the Business Central training, I created these training guides to talk about business process, procesos de negocios. And I have purchasing, sales, inventory, accounting to start, those 4 core processes. And this is a roughly 1-hour training on the basics of purchasing. What is a vendor? What is a purchase requisition? What is a purchase order? What is a receipt? What is purchase invoice? On and on and on. And I cannot assume that someone in El Salvador who has never worked in a business accounting environment would know these things. So we're going to go over them, talk about the terms, the processes, the documents, how this relates to Business Central. They're going to learn about debits and credits in the process, and that'll take us in the accounting conversation later on. And yeah, so I've got two of these ready, got to work on the other two. I've got outlines. I'm just going to bang it out. So that's at least 4 to 6 hours of training. And we'll probably need to go through that training a couple of times when I'm in El Salvador. So that is what I'm doing there. And the weekend, I have a birthday party. I have a kid turning 16, which is wild. A friend pointed that out. I didn't even think about it. It's like, wow, she's 16 now. Wild, absolutely wild. So, yep, turning 16, driver's license coming soon. So we have a birthday party this weekend. I will be obviously working on the ERP curriculum this weekend, and I get to pack for 25 days in El Salvador, and I call this Avianca style. Avianca is a budget airline, I think you would call it, where they charge for everything. You want a bag of peanuts, they charge you. You want a blanket, that is $19 on the plane or whatever it costs. And so they strictly enforce their weight limits for luggage, which is kind of good. Otherwise, I'd be killing myself with luggage. But I'm regretting that now because I get a 20 kilo check-in bag, I think, which is equivalent to 50 US giant rocks, 50 pounds. So I have to cram this with 50 pounds worth of technology that I'm bringing over there, approximately 2 miles of cables, video cameras. I've got to bring a new MacBook. I've got to bring a CalDigit Thunder Station 4, whatever, Thunder Dock 4, whatever it's called, or the live streaming studio for stuff I'm going to be doing there. You see, you've got the Plantronics headsets on the left there, ready to go. 3 of those. They didn't even fit. All sorts of stuff I need to bring. So, and then I am limited to 10 kilograms for carry-on, and they strictly enforce it. If I have a carry-on bag, they make me weigh it when I check in. So I had to buy the lightest suitcase made today. It is a Delsey suitcase. I think it weighs less than 7 pounds, the lightest suitcase I could find for carry-on. So I am limited to 22 pounds for carry-on. And then as soon as I get past that checkpoint where they weigh my luggage, I unload my 50-pound carry-on backpack, which they strangely do not weigh, and migrate stuff into my carry-on. So got a whole strategy. If I can afford it, I may fly on a US carrier next time so I don't have these bonkers luggage restrictions. So Q&A, some comments. So yes, Plantronic headphones are great, but yes, comfort could be an issue. So over ear is a concern. I totally get that with the Bose, the Bang & Olufsen, or more of an audio-oriented headset that's over the ears. But for microphone quality, I have not been able to beat a true commercial grade, call center grade, business grade noise canceling microphone like the Plantronics Poly or the Jabra. And yes, AirPods Pro are also excellent, but the Bluetooth sound quality, in my experience, is not great. I know there's like 2 different audio sources you can choose in Windows, and it's just kind of been a hassle. So I tend to not use them. I probably should try them, but the Plantronics are worth carrying internationally when I travel. So, some questions for you all. How do you organize your PTEs, SOWs, artifacts, user guides, and release notes? Like, seriously, how do you herd those cats? How do you organize this so when your functional consultant gets a support call or talks to a customer, they can quickly and easily look up which PTEs does this customer have? What version are they on? Where's the user guide? I don't want them having to constantly ask me ask our developer, us dig through OneDrive, whatever. I want it in one place. I'm on a mission. Where do you store all of it? Is it CRM? Is it SharePoint? Is it some other place? I don't know. We'll figure that out. Um, how do you ensure that any consultant can easily find the latest version? Just kind of said that. I do not want anyone other than my developer and I to dig through DevOps. It's the wrong place to go. And I've had people, well, it's just in artifacts. Your functional consultant should dig 97 levels deep in DevOps to get to the artifacts link, which I can barely find half the time, and then determine if that artifact is the right version. No, I disagree completely. Wrong answer. So it's got to be easy. It's got to be convenient. So Christian says, I developed a module in our ERP called Solution Info. So is that a customer solution info page? Like you're a BC user, or is that what you developed in BC for your consulting practice or your BC implementation? So we as a partner, we deal with 50 plus Business Central customers, and hopefully we get to 100 plus. We do not, just as I don't want our functional consultant going into DevOps to find that information, our functional consultant should not be digging through Business Central for that information. It is not our primary tool for consulting. So we need something that is a tool of the consulting practice. And Business Central is our internal financial system. It is not our consulting system. So we're likely looking at CRM, SharePoint, or a OneDrive folder. I'd be fine with. That might be the path of least resistance. Like you can catalog them in CRM, but all artifacts, all documents, all files go in OneDrive. That might work. I'll think about that. So with that, in the US, I believe it is a holiday weekend, Memorial Day, if I'm not mistaken. I am absolutely terrible with holidays other than Christmas and New Year's. That's about all I got. Christian says every solution of our customers has its own card with all relevant support, project management info, links, and the relevant sites and sources. So if that's in Business Central, that's an interesting solution. For us, that would not work because we do not have full licenses for all of our consultants. They just don't have a need to be in Business Central other than entering their timesheets as a, what is that called? A team member license. So we use SharePoint, CRM, OneDrive, Teams for our delivery side of things. So yeah, I think that's just a difference between longtime Nav BC users. You tend to develop solutions in Business Central. We tend to use the other Microsoft tools. So yeah. With that, have a good weekend. What is it called? El fin de semana. Oh, there we go. El fin de semana, the weekend. Sorry, clicking through. And cheers. Adios.